I'm Brooke Whisenhunt, and I have been here at Missouri State University as a professor in psychology for the past 24 years.
And I'm Danae Hudson, and I'm also a professor of psychology here at Missouri State University. I've been here for 23 years.
And we have two textbooks. We just published the second edition of Introductory Psychology, and we also have a fifth edition Psychological Disorders textbook.
So really that kind of dates back until about 2010 when we did a significant course redesign here at Missouri State of our introductory psychology course. And that involved at least almost a couple years of work where we really transformed the course and incorporated a lot of technology. And then in the end, we had really great outcomes. And we were using a Pearson product at the time. So then an editor approached us and said, hey, why don't you try to do what you've done within your classroom at Missouri State in the form of writing a new textbook so this could help all students. And our emphasis has really always been on improving student learning and incorporating the science of learning into what we do. Not only would that make it more fresh and exciting for students, but it would really change the way that students interacted with the material in a digital first environment. Meaning we wrote this book for the digital environment. We're able to use a lot of technology to actually help students engage with the content in a meaningful way and improve their learning outcomes.
We actually flipped our classroom when we redesigned introductory psychology. And so we had students doing readings and doing quizzes before they came to class. But what we discovered is that semester after semester, across teachers, across classes, students were all struggling with the same kind of concepts. And if you've ever taught introductory psychology, you could probably rattle them off yourself. So things like classical conditioning, they're always going to struggle with that. We actually collected data from a lot of professors, and the agreement was very high in terms of what these difficult concepts were. So when we sat down to kind of think through how we were going to approach this new text, we were thinking why should we leave students kind of stranded out there in the areas where we know they're going to struggle with the most? So we developed what we call adaptive pathways in our book to really focus on the difficult concepts. If students are struggling right then and there, then they get presented with a 1 to 2 minute, really brief whiteboard animation video that we authored to try to really bring our teaching voice into the reading. So in the exact same way we would explain to a student if they were asking us about this, or if we were in class and trying to explain something when they don't understand, that's what those videos are. And there's 92 of them in the book. So we're super proud of those and feel like that's just a great way to help students in the moment when they don't understand something. We teach classes of over 300 people, and there's usually a handful of psychology majors in there. I want them to leave this class recognizing why it was important that they had to take it to begin with. And I do that in a lot of different ways. One of the ways is I'll even call out majors when I'm talking about specific material. So for example, like my business and marketing majors, who definitely are the least likely to report they want to be in that class. When we talk about social psychology and we're talking about compliance techniques, I'm calling it out. I'm like, hey guys, this is what you do in your field. So I'm pulling them in and helping identify areas in which this would really be relevant to their lives. And that's what I think our job in intro psych is to really teach them some lessons that they didn't know they needed to know in the end.
And I think if I could offer one piece of advice to incoming students, it would be to develop the skill of sustained attention. And what that means is you need to pick a task that you're going to work on and probably start with a time limit. That's called the Pomodoro technique, is you would do like a 25-minute little stint and then you would take a 5-minute break. And I think that that's really what our students need to be able to do and to develop that skill, because once they can do that, then they can employ all the other skills that they're learning in terms of studying and learning and retrieval practice and things like that, and be successful in that endeavor, rather than spending a lot of time in an inefficient way and then feeling disappointed by their results.